Alright. Just need to get myself reacquainted. Hey, that's fishing board. I need 373 tokens. I already have 90. What's ID? Okay. Gossip. All daimyos will be displeased or excellent spies. But minus 10% idea cost. On the other hand, ideas only cost 300. It's a question of which idea group I want. Okay, probably bureaucracy. The other option would be economic. Why would I say that? Well, inside bureaucracy ideas, there's a yearly corruption reduction, a buff to max centralization, and a reduction of monthly autonomy change. Just direct monthly autonomy change modifier. Economic, however, also has various buffs to so many things that are useful. Except interest per annum, I don't go into depth that often. Trade range is actually pretty useful early game, but later on it becomes next to useless. Minus 5% construction cost is next to nothing. On the other hand, what's the likelihood he's going to die soon? He does have excellent stats, so I would assume he's going to die in the next 20 years. On the other hand, yeah, how likely is it that I'm going to that to occur? Not having the capability to use that to my advantage. Might as well use the leverage. Though it does harm my diplomatic reputation. Yeah. And of all the possible sources of income a province can, well, produce, there are three happen to be. Okay, there's four. First, rural export of food and, well, agricultural products. Second, mining. Third, trade. And fourth, urban goods. Urban goods happen to be the most effective way to get a lot of money, though, so, which is why it is so important to get proper production infrastructure in place. Trade, on the other hand, well, yes, it does not produce much wealth for the province itself. Having a lot of trade power in a particularly rich area, like, say, Japan, or even better, China, will get you tons of money. Very, very easily. So I haven't really talked greatly about the estates yet. There are, well, depending on how you count them, anywhere between 3 and 6 estates. In the most literal sense, there are 5 estates. The burghers, which are basically city dwellers, citizens, etc. The greater nobles, which are basically the nobility that have more or less only one title rank below you. For example, if you were a king, these would be the dukes, like, for example, honestly here, the daimyos are incredibly powerful compared to the shogun. While each individual daimyo, for the most part, is weaker than the shogunate in its entirety, there's so many daimyos that they can act almost autonomously. It's a similar case with the Echiri, etc. The lesser nobles are basically just minor nobility that are much weaker and can only participate in a few provinces. Well, in small areas. It would basically be that random guy that happens to own, say, enough land to, you know, for 200 serfs to work on. And just that. Nothing else. That would be a minor noble. Or also, you know, someone that just has the title of nobility but no actual plan or wealth to go with it. The state is literally just you. It's basically their influence level is more or less how much of the development that you have directly under your control, which is almost none for me at the moment. But that's beginning to change. Every province is starting to reduce in autonomy now that I have enough centralization. Although it's going to be a slow and arduous process. The last true estate is the tribals, which, well, they throw away, so they basically are those that live in the wild areas. Wherever unsettled people are, the tribals are there. They may control the province in its entirety if there's enough tribal people. They will control the province in entirety. For example, this province has 83.1% tribals. 83.1% of the rural population is tribals. The tribals are special in that they don't actually produce any wealth. They only produce enough food for themselves and nothing more. Additionally, the tribals are the hardest to control. The greatest of the regular estates is 25% average autonomy for a greater noble. For the tribals, it's plus 60% average. However, they do not have any privileges, so there's no actual minimum autonomy. Although, good luck getting to it. Additionally, they lower the supply limit by 4, so in really barren provinces, like this one right here that I'm indicating, the supply limit is 2 point something. The actual base value is 2.3, and it's modified by 115%. It would be even higher, but it's winter right now. There's, yeah. 2.3 times 115%, that is, yeah, it's about 2.6. There is also one other sort of estate, the church. They're not really an estate, they pervade the entire country. They have an influence which gives you modifiers. No church influence means no modifiers. Max church influence gives you the following effects. In general, plus 2 missionaries, plus 2.2% missionary strength, plus 2.7% admin tech cost. And then in provinces of your own religion, it says Orthodox because this is based off of the Orthodox Patriarch Authority, this mechanic. although it is universal to all religions get this effect, although others get different, may get additional effects. The Catholics still have the papacy effect, although you actually have to be nearby in order to use it, because um, countries that are rather distant from the Pope get a negative modifier. That can be anywhere from -3, which is difficult to overcome unless you have cardinals, to, well, this would be, say, Spain or, France normally. The Pope is at the start of the game in Avignon, which means they don't get the distance to the papacy debuff. However, this ended up causing one of the big religious controversies in Europe during the time period. It happened before the EU time frame, though, so it doesn't really come up often when talking about EU4. Anyway, yeah, another one would be Coptic still get the Holy Side mechanic. The only issue is, because of this, the church influence and piety track don't appear on the religion screen, so you're going to have to do a bit of digging to find them. But I digress. In, well, your true faith provinces, you get -3.3 unrest, -22% production efficiency, and -11% tax and manpower. So you don't want to. So the thing is, your base missionary amount is 0. The plague has occurred. I'll talk about that in a minute. So you don't want to. So while yes, it's a good idea not to have the church have total influence, it is smart to have them at least get some influence in order for you to be able to convert. Because religious unity can be pretty harsh. Or, well, lack thereof. When I'm saying about anywhere between 3 and 6 estates, you can say 6 if you count the church as the estate, you can say 5 if you don't count the church, or you don't count the state, since this is literally just a way to put these interactions into here without cluttering up this decision list, which is already, yeah, a bit cluttered as it is. I would say 4, well, there's also the question of whether or not the greater nobles can be really considered as separate estates. The greater nobles and the lesser nobles, they can be considered basically just one group of nobles, each with their own goals and ideas. The greater nobles just wallow in their wealth, while the lesser nobles actively work towards improving the realm. The lesser nobles improve their provinces, although they mainly do it via rural infrastructure. The greater nobles just sit around and maintain a stronger levy. While yes, that does lead them able to throw their weight around a bit more, they don't develop their provinces that much. The burghers, knowing that their entire realm of influence is the economy, spend almost all of their treasury on building production, on buffing up their provinces. I don't have any burghers since all my provinces are controlled by nobles. There's only a couple provinces that might eventually build up into cities. The problem is, all they have is a workshop or a fishing port or both. May move On the other hand, if I ever want to unify Japan, it might be smart to move the capital to Kyoto or Tokyo, depending on. A coastal capital would actually be smarter. Additionally, I don't think Kyoto even existed at this time period, so. Already fabricated that claim. Yes, well, yeah. If I were, however, to build up a city large enough so that the citizens ended up having more clout than the entire rural population of 190,000, then the province will flip from greater nobles to burghers. However, each level of rural infrastructure that the greater nobles build in there, the more difficult it is for the burghers to influence it. And since the greater nobles are not going to invest in city infrastructure, I would have to do it myself up until that point, which flips to the burghers. Additionally, each estate has its own treasury. I probably should click on the burghers. Yeah, they have a treasury, and they have an annual income, which is pretty much where all the tax money and production money that is eaten up by autonomy goes. That's where it goes. In fact, do they? Yes, they absolutely do. They have more income than I do. I earn 1.83 per month over 12 months. They earn, per month. They earn 41.521, or well, just gonna round that to 42 for 12 months. Well, over 12 months. That means that the monthly income is 42 divided by 12. 12 times 3 is 36, which is obviously less than 42, which means that they earn at least 3 ducats per month, so they earn more money than I do. On the other hand, they're also paying maintenance for their army, which is 4 times larger than mine, but still. Yeah, nobles also have their own levies, as well as the tribes. The greater nobles will have higher end units, the cavalry and the cannons. Lesser nobles focus on foot soldiers, which are cheaper because obviously they can't handle as big of an army since they get less privileges and autonomy. The tribals focus exclusively on foot soldiers, and they can mobilize a very large percentage of their country. Since no one's actively, working on no one needs to, they only produce enough food to feed themselves, no one actually relies on them producing food. Anyway, I'm going to, what offers favors? 7 corruption, 94 gold. Yeah, ouch. Anyway, that's actually the estates. I probably should talk about plagues now. The way plagues work is that there's a center point for the plague. It's right here. Yep, plague origin. Plagues have different levels of severity. They lower population in the province. As you can see, this province has lost 125,000 population. It was previously at almost 500,000, so that's pretty bad. Additionally, there's a modifier. Plus 2 unrest, so for the terrible plague, it's plus 2 unrest, plus minus 20% trade power, minus 20% production efficiency, plus 1% local goods produced modifier. This is in order to make it visible on the trade map. Plus 2 attrition for enemies, minus 20% local defensiveness, and plus 8% average autonomy. Alright, 10 less trade. Seriously? I don't even have a center of trade. The plague spreads via adjacencies and centers of trade. Additionally, if the plague weakens enough, it can just pass over the province, basically. The plague hasn't been able to reach here. Yeah, that chain of events occurs if the plague is going to reach your country soon. This is not a good sign because it means that the plague's probably going to pass via a center of trade. Probably should keep the trade to map up and see how it will spread. Yep, it's rapidly spreading across China. But it hasn't reached the Japanese islands yet, unless it's reaching this province that's being covered by the node. Or this province over here. It reached Korea. Probably should check the modifiers when it is... I'll let it pass over the months. Here's terrible. Severe, minus 15% for trade power, production efficiency. Plus 1%, yeah. 1.5 attrition, minus 50% defensiveness, plus 6% average autonomy. Severe. Here's the moderate, which is yellow. Minus 10% trade power and production efficiency, plus 1 attrition, minus 10% defensiveness, and plus 4% average autonomy. Here's mild, which is minus 5% to trade power and production efficiency, plus 0.5 to attrition, minus 10% to defensiveness, and plus 2% average autonomy. And the blue, plague is passed over. At least from the direction it spread, it was unable to reach its province. Now, for example, here. Now, if, for example, a severe plague manages to transmit a, well, moderate plague to this port province of Jeonju, Jeonjiro, for example, could be infected with, say, a moderate or a mild plague. It's not a bio-end-all if the plague is passed over. It just means that for now, the province is safe. What else is there to talk about for now? The trade node situation is somewhat different. Trade power is based on absolute development. Trade power. With the urban pubs producing the most base. The upper class also has a significant amount of trade power, although not nearly as much as the urban class. and the rural are just too minor to make much of a difference in trade. This is why the extremely tribal provinces have such terrible trade power. There are no urban pops to produce any significant degree of trade power. Here, the rural population of this province is 14,600, and the largest town among them. It has only 156 people in it. With 10,000 people, urban people, producing a base of 0.2 trade power, they're barely producing any trade power whatsoever. As a result, this province is next to worthless in trade. Of course, 0.2 trade power per 10,000 people is a bad trade as well. Isn't good as well. So there's marketplaces which you can put in. The thing about the production buildings is that not only do they provide direct benefits, they also provide benefits based upon population. So a marketplace has 0.25 trade power base with a plus 15% modifier and a plus 25% gravity modifier. That urban trade power has two numbers. The first one is the benefit for those population that don't overflow its capacity. The capacity for the marketplace, for example, is 40,000. So the first 40,000 will, instead of producing 0.2 for 10,000 population, will produce 0.5 for every 10,000 population. The upgraded versions produce more for more people. It's a similar effect for the workshop, for the production buildings. For the workshop, it's unlike the marketplace, which has a base amount of trade power. The workshop only modifies, well, outside of the urban gravity buff, so plus 1.5 base and plus 20%. The workshop only and solemnly modifies the urban production power. At least, the workshop only does it within its cap, within its saturation amount. The first 40k will produce 0.9 urban production power per 10,000 urban population. The rest will produce the same old amount of 0.05. All later buildings will improve this beyond just improving urban gravity and whatnot. They will improve not only the amount of the regulars that those within the saturation amount produce, as well as improve the number that is the saturation amount. They also improve the amount that the others do. So the Corporation Guild makes it 0.1 for beyond saturation. The Craftsman District does 0.2. The Manufactory does 0.3. And the Steam Powered Factory does 0.5. There is, however, a way to modify urban production power in different. The warehouse and the warehouse district improved urban production power by 15% and 30% respectively. They also improved trade power by 7.5% and 50% respectively, and they also improve urban gravity with the warehouse having a focus on the base, while the district has more of a focus on the modifier. I did talk about everything on the trade map. Is there any special modifiers, like special map modes I can turn on? Rural production maturity. Where rural industries are mature, rules take damage when there's famine or war, which remove maturity, and the extent to which the rebound depends on how much excess food in the region. Province of which have enjoyed long periods of peace enjoy much more mature industries, and mature industries generate more rural wealth than immature industries, which generate more goods. So map mode. It didn't appear. Maybe it doesn't work when the play's on, either that or it's broken. Oh well. Okay, so another thing to look after is communication efficiency, also known as CE or communication time. It's a number of days it takes for a runner to travel to there and back. It's usually on land. Roads make it better, however, you also have to build the road, which tend to be... the cost can be anywhere between, you know, 50 or so for provinces in the HRE because they're tiny, or small islands, to several hundred, say 500 for provinces that are large and happen to be in the middle of the jungle, like the provinces in the Congo. Another way is simply by building trade harbors. The level 1 trade wharf, the trade wharf, as well as the upgraded versions, more or less just basically calculate CE via ocean travel. This can be incredibly fast under favorable conditions. God, the headphones. Getting big and comfortable. The ships can be incredibly fast. And the reason why it's important to have good communication is because a high communication time produces two things. First off, unrest, which actually isn't that much compared to the fact that in the mod, most of the time you'll have minus 30 unrest. And even then, unrest is heavily nerfed compared to base game, where instead of being a chance to raise 10% the progress towards 100%, it's a 5% increase. So it takes twice as long. I do believe the diminishing returns on unrest is even more noticeable in M&T compared to vanilla. So, yeah. But more importantly, it raises average autonomy. You have instant communication in your capital, and then it spreads out from there. For example, this province has excellent communication, 9 days. 17% average autonomy, plus 17% average autonomy, plus 3.75 unrest. Over here, it's still rapid. Oh well, it's Japan. Trying to look. Oh, here's my worst province. Still seems a bit odd, but okay. 19 days, plus 34% average autonomy, plus 7.44 unrest. I probably can go here and check. Yeah, terrible communication. 85 days, plus 27.13 unrest. Average autonomy is 124% higher. Yeah, it's gonna be at 100 autonomy soon. Interesting, it looks like Ming is dying. They usually are the ones that unify China, thanks to their strong starting position. And, you know, events that help them along the way. Because that's what historically happened. It makes sense. It makes sense for it to follow the same way. History. Because isn't that part of what a grand strategy game strives to achieve? A similarity to history? How it actually went down? Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait another decade or two to be able to build that workshop. Oi. Really? That's going to cut my money income from trade in half. Ouch. Wait, so I still have the modifier of Pure Land? Oh, that's strange. I thought I didn't have that. I can raise my innovativeness by 2. That is super pricey though, and I think I can use my diplo points for something more valuable. Huh. Please don't crash, please don't crash. Okay. I probably should pay attention to this. Unlike in this is in 1.29, so it's not going to alert me if the innovativeness bonuses disappear. I would like to have that bonus, on the other hand. The diplo points could honestly be rather useful for one reason or another. So I do want to preserve them as much as possible. Especially since my first idea group's going to be probably bureaucracy. Yeah, I think I'll do bureaucracy. I should probably talk about institutions. Should actually have a pause the game for a moment. Legalism replaces the equivalent of feudalism, is pretty much the equivalent of feudalism in the base game. The modifier for not having legalism is plus 50% tech cost, just like with feudalism. If you embrace it, you get plus 1 states and plus 15 max centralization. The other things that affect its spread are a school of thought is, from a powerful man is being debated here, that's the modifier from spread between centers of art. The next modifier is nearby province has legalism. I'm not entirely sure how much that is. I could actually check, though, so I'll get to that later. Then, its loyal subjects have their institutions spread by their overlord in the capital. Then, owners embrace legalism, speeding up spread from nearby provinces. And then there's the trading in centers of trade. Well, in the country that embrace legalism is trading in the center of trade. The four things that can reduce the spread is the three, if it's below three separate milestones for trade power, 8, 3, and 0.5, and if tribes happen to be the dominant one. The tribes strongly oppose legalism for the reason that once legalism is present in the province, there's a much stronger drive for the tribes to settle down. It's a similar case with A, low autonomy, and B, high centralization. For example, in this province, 1.3 trade power. Nearby province has, so it's plus 0.21, minus 0.03, minus 0.03. It's a plus 30% spread modifier. However, that's a more heavily populated province. Find one that's less heavily populated. This one is not adjacent to legalism. So despite the fact that it starts with some legalism, it's slowly decreasing per month. Here, owners embraced is a 0.05, which is slow. Provincial trade power below 0.5, hindering the spread of local institutions. It's a minus 0.06 modifier. If a province is nearby and has it, it will spread. It will be slow, but it will always spread. No doubt about it. Now, what my issue is I want to look for one that has greater than 3 trade power, but does not have legalism, so I can actually show what the minus below 8 is, but I should probably check this. There it is! Wahoo! It's only 0.01 if it's below 8. It's still, if it's not adjacent though, it's still going to lose. So, yeah. There's also meritocracy. If legalism isn't there, it's going to have a minus 10. Okay. Again, the art center, and then provincial trade power below 2 and 6. And then trading, the dominant center. And then, trading in centers of trade. Loyal subjects, embraced. Then there's the legalism not present. And then there's a modifier which makes it more difficult for it to enter sub-Saharan Africa. Which makes it more difficult to play down there. See here? It has no legalism, and trade power is below 2, so despite the fact that it's nearby, it will actually decrease the spread of meritocracy. There's also banking, which starts in Liguria after a certain amount of time, and technically it starts in Liguria, but it also spreads to a few other provinces in Italy. Oh yeah, meritocracy. When embraced, minus 50% advisor tax costs, and the tech penalty is plus 20%. Banking, plus 20, when embraced, plus 10% production efficiency, minus 2 interest per annum. Max penalty is 15%. Again, okay, so the spread is, again, art centers and centers of trade. Trade power below 0.5, 2, 8, well, 2, 3, 8, 15. Tribes strongly oppose banking, apparently. Legalism not being present hinders it. There's also difficulty crossing the Sahara again. Little subjects and owner has embraced banking. However, the emperor has embraced banking, inducing a spread in the empire. That's the HRV, I believe. Yeah, it should be. The special institution spreading from Emperor of China is common year resource. Anyway, other negatives are low to no urban development, and not actually being controlled by the burghers. The Renaissance has two modifiers when embraced, minus 10% construction cost and plus 1 possible dividers. This used to be idea cost. Now it's much more valuable. There is a tech penalty of 25%. There used to be no tech penalty. No, that was common use. Okay, plus 25%. Was it? Yeah, that's common use house. Never mind. Casual literacy, minus 5 years of separatism, max is 25%, globalized trade, plus 15% trade power raw, plus 10% trade steering, max penalty to tech, plus 20%. Manufacturers, plus 10% production efficiency, max penalty to tech, plus 25%. Enlightenment is minus 10% tech cost, plus 1 max for cultures. Max penalty is plus 50%, so you better get that embraced when you can. Both of these were just researched by Ayutthaya. Yeah, they have a 565 ruler. Yeesh. Oh, time to grab the innovativeness buff if I can. Alright, let's grab bureaucracy ideas. The first thing is honestly not great. State maintenance is nice, construction time isn't important at all. Oh yeah, something I should also mention. Because of the way how the first idea group's unlocked in tech level 3? Yes. Ah, thank you. I guess I must have better trade, I guess? Well, enough. Yeah, trade better diplomacy, so. Yeah. Must make a G paying the tax income. Right, so Diplotech. Anyway, each country, so every country with a tech level, starting tech level of 5 or greater, starts with an idea group. Yellow is all tech level 7 here. Travels must have started with 3. So China and parts of the East Indies. No. Okay. China starts, yeah, and parts of the East Indies, basically everything north of Malaya, start at tech level 7 and have a full unlock idea. Everything else in Europe and Eurasia, if they're not, unless they're tribal. If they're tribal, they usually start with level 3. Everyone else starts with level 5. This includes all of Europe, except maybe hordes, as well as Northern Africa. They start with the first 3 or 4 ideas of the idea group. So, over here, the first idea group is completely filled out. With varying degrees of practicality, logistics ideas is All the military ideas. The military ideas were terrible. Now they're a bit better. It's still just so good to see how grab, say, bureaucracy, economic, and culture. Culture is ridiculously powerful. Anyway. Yeah. However, there is a benefit to Tech Level 3. They get the flexibility to pick an idea group extremely early. So they can pick, say, like all of these up here are administrative ideas. Huh. Although bureaucratic is somewhat better, since administrative ideas don't raise your max centralization and they don't lower autonomy. Although you do get maintenance. Lots of maintenance reduction modifiers. So it's making it easier to reduce inflation. So yeah, my country starts with trade ideas. Fully unlocked, which is why I have 5 merchants. 3 of them just sitting there not doing anything because they don't actually have the trade range. Well, now I have the trade range to do this. Beforehand, I didn't. Okay, there's 3 sources. Huanghai, which is over here. Huanghe Basin. Which parts you get stuff from Manchuria, Mongolia. I don't think I'll ever be able to reach Mongolia, at least not within the next 100 years. Yeah, it looks like conquering China outside of the Beijing region is actually not that useful for a Japan player. Unless, of course, they move their trade center of trade collection to somewhere else. But well, oh well. Must be interesting to play as Luzon at some point. On the other hand, it could be just super boring because you're the only thing there. The only military you're ever gonna need is enough to put down any revolts that are probably never going to occur. Since any decently run country will not have a revolt for hundreds of years in this game, in this mod. I should actually check my stab level. I'm gonna wait a few more years before I do anything. Although, yeah. I definitely should offer favors to the lesser nobles first. I want to get them as loyal as possible before I start demoting greater nobles. Yep, Ming is gone, so... Ming China is not going to happen. Certainly something different from what happened historically. Oh yeah, another thing. You can give... One of the most important parts of estate interaction is privileges. You can grant privileges to the estates, you can revoke privileges from the estates, and the estates will occasionally ask for a new privilege, or to strengthen their control. They almost always, in some way or another, increase the influence of the estate, and oftentimes come with various debuffs and occasionally buffs. One of the biggest ones is the autonomy, modifier. More or less a lot of... But there's some ones that are actually positive. One of my biggest one of my favorites happened to be giving burgers exclusivity when it comes to supplying the core. While yes, some of the core income, some of the core treasury goes directly into burger treasury instead of actually raising the level of my core, so in other words I put more money into it. It does come with a major positive though. That being, urban production power is actually boosted. Which, being the strongest form of province income, means more tax money for me in the future. Additionally, more production means that, well, centers congregate where their associated value is highest, so having more production power means that I'm more likely to get a center of trade. Well, not trade, production. Let's look at this. You can revoke privileges peacefully. The problem is, it's going to do two things. First off, you're going to have to spend a diplomatic and administrative power. Next, stability is going to become going to take a lot longer to arrive, at least for 10 years. And how much? Well, it's going to take longer for you to raise your stability, and how much depends on how strong the estate is. You can see the difference here. For the greater nobles here, it was 35%, now it's just 10% for the lesser. We'll also lower the corruption they give. Although I probably should actually revoke from the lesser nobles. Alkees issuing numerous new high quarterly titles to do that. So, it's going to spend 11 of admin and diplo. Stability, well, I'm going to gain one less stability point per year. And there will be 0.015 less yearly corruption from the lesser nobles. Additionally, it also removes that effect of the privilege. Or at least partially. Which is the chance of lesser nobles converting to greater nobles and the multiplicative increase to their influence. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'm at 1 stab, however, it is rather likely that I will drop will drop a stab, most likely. And it's also pretty reasonable for me to drop 2 or even 3. Or none at all. The reason why I'm not doing the greater nobles is because then it's next to guaranteed I'll be at -2 stab. Below -1 for sure. Let's see how they respond. They may respond okay-ish, they may respond like, yeah, that's actually a good idea. Or they may do their best to cause all hell to break loose. It really depends on basically chance. In more ways than one. There's the randomness inherent in what they choose. They're upset. Great. There's a 25% chance to lose stability. Basically rolling a 4-sided die twice. And I got lucky. Of course, the chance of losing 0 stab is 3/4 times 3/4, which is 9/16, so better than 50%. The chance of losing only 1 stab is... Oh, okay. The chance of losing 2 stab is 1/4 times 1/4, 1/16. Times 10, so therefore, the chance of losing only 1 stab is 6 out of 16. That's just how probability works. The chance of all is basically the chance of it succeeding every single time, which would be 25% squared, 1/4. 4 times 4 is 16 and 16th. The chance of not having it at all is the chance of none. Times however many times. So 3/4 times 3/4, 9/16, and then leftover possibilities is literally whatever is left. Card between the port and let it die. Joy. I didn't need that admin power anyway. Another thing. For the first little while of MEIU and taxes, tech costs, well, a new tech comes every 11 years. Or, well, that's a difference in ahead of time stuff. No, wait, it's 10 years, isn't it? Yeah, it's 10 years. Ooh. On the other hand, base tech cost is 400. Although it's already modified base by 10%, so yay. I have to wait till meritocracy comes, which thankfully shouldn't take absolutely forever. Still going to take a while though. It should be here by 1400. I'll just see it. President is expected to be president in 1391. Lovely. Gives me plenty of time to prepare that city for it though. Eventually. Also amazing how much of this world is tribal. That coastline that's a colonizable province. The rise of Sulu. It doesn't even have legalism. I almost have enough to build a marketplace if I want to. The workshop is just too valuable to ignore though. Besides, it will also provide even more urban gravity than... Well, the base 1.5 is going to be more than the plus 25% modifier. Because of the 30% modifier argument, right? Base is almost 9, so 25% would be over 2. 1.5 plus 30%. Okay, so it doesn't provide more urban gravity, but base is... the production efficiency, the urban production, the amount of money that will produce, is more than enough to justify it, though. However, I will build a marketplace immediately after, and then a warehouse district. Besides, putting off the workshop in favor of other buildings is just going to make the workshop even more expensive. Admin power, please. Yeah, there's also the idea tree that you have to deal with. Some, not many, some idea groups are mutually exclusive. Plutocratic and aristocratic are mutually exclusive. Although, again, the old requirements still hold. Plutocratic is republic only, aristocratic is, I guess, monarchy and theocracy. Continuing on. Mercantilism. So there's trade ideas, which unlock mercantilism and free trade, which are mutually exclusive. Economic leads to engineering. Innovative, which can only be unlocked after a certain point, just like exploration and expansion. Innovation leads to engineering, which is also a diplomatic group. Quantity, so mercenary and standing army are mutually exclusive. Quantity and standing army together lead to grand army. Quality and standing army lead to professional army. I do believe quantity and quality are mutually exclusive though. There's also naval, which leads to a grand total of 5 idea groups. Grand fleet, naval quality, and naval leadership. Naval and trade lead to merchant marine, and naval will eventually unlock exploration. However, in order to get exploration, I think, if I remember this correctly, you need Diplotech 16 for the Iberians. Everyone else needs Diplotech 20. Additionally, it can be at the earliest the 5th idea group, so it's okay to be a bit behind in Iberia, at least Diplotech, because it's in the name of exploration, right? Administrative leads to empire, and together with exploration leads to both expansion and global empire. Diplomatic leads to eminence and influence. Eminence is pretty much just we rule by prestige alone, and other countries are all of us, while influence is the same old facile thing. There's also something important. One thing that everyone has is also a piety level, which goes between secularism and fanaticism. Max fanaticism is plus 1 stat point per year, plus 15% morale, plus 2 tolerance of true faith, minus 1 tolerance of heretics and heathens, plus 15% fort defense, and plus 1 yearly legitimacy. Which is actually pretty helpful because legitimacy has, just like everything else in this mod, a resting point. Secularism gives plus 12% trade efficiency, minus 12% applied reserve cost, minus 12% tech cost, and plus 2 tolerance of heretics and heathens. Idea groups can modify this. Trade, diplomatic, and espionage reduce it by, I think, 10. The religious ideas of asceticism, popular religion, scholasticism, and straight religion modify it by 10 or 20, depending on, well, which one it is. They do different ones. And trade, diplomatic, espionage do minus 10, and humanist does minus 40. So it moves towards secularism. This is based off the piety of Muslim nations. Currently I have exactly neutral, which isn't exactly good. I can actually see what modifies all my potential piety by clicking on this event, Hosokawa, my country name, piety. It shows the current modifier. Apparently nothing's modifying it. What? Okay, minus 20% for trade ideas, plus 40% for each religious idea group, minus 40% for humanist ideas. That's somewhat strange. I would think it would modify it, but maybe that part didn't load properly. Or it might be an issue with the fact that it starts build out. Oh well. Oh yeah. Also, just like in... Okay, similar to the base game, artillery is unlocked at level 8 rather than level 7. However, game starts in 1357? 1356? I don't know. And it doesn't actually get any pips until tech level 15. So, at the very beginning of the game, when they first unlocked, artillery can literally be used only for sieging. That's the only thing they're actually good for. They're siege weapons, not combat weapons. And they're also pretty pricey, so only use them if you are rich and you could use the faster sieges. Which you don't need as much, actually, as in the base game, because sieges aren't as based on random chance. Still somewhat based on random chance, but difficult to find in a country of war. Of course, I picked the time of peace for this. Anyway, so in base game, siege is slowly progressed by the siege timer modifier. How high it can go varies based on circumstances, but usually the amount is around 12, the maximum amount. Very good. Let's see. Plus, yeah, that's barely even anything. It's plus 0.25 stat points at the end of the year. Joy. Anyhow, the siege timer modifier in base game goes from 0 to 12. Usually, it can go to 13, or sometimes to even 11 or not 10. In M&T, on the other hand, the actual limit happens to be either 100 or 99. I haven't checked. So a siege will eventually finish, no matter what. Whereas under the right circumstances, and really bad luck, a siege could theoretically last forever in base game EU4. Well, okay, the game doesn't run forever, but it could last 300 years. With ample amounts of saves coming. And I mean ample. It would take a lot for that to occur. I really think I actually got through just about everything. Now, claims cost basically double, including the increase. There's also the special thing with ideas. The first idea isn't actually an idea. It describes what your culture gives you. And each culture has different bonuses. For example, the STEM family system is the one for, say, Japan or Germany. It's 2.5% discipline, 7% global student spread, minus 5% replacement cost, plus 1 extra staff point per year, minus 1 accepted cultures, plus 5 years of nationalism. Or, well, separatism is the equivalent. There's also the bonus idea, which is relegated basically to certain culture groups and locations. Combination of culture groups and locations. It has only minor effects. For example, for Japan, it's plus 3% infantry combat ability. Woohoo. The next 5 ideas have a lot of compression. They basically try to fulfill the effects of pretty much base games, all base games traditions, ambitions, and 7 ideas, all into 5 ideas. National ideas. However, in order to unlock them, You only need to unlock one idea at a time. So once you fill out your first full idea group, you get all the bonuses at once. Fighters seem to be pretty expensive. Money is king. Trade is, for the most part, actually unaffected. And there's this mission tree. With these horrible, horrible puns on this. I mean, there's things I could not have covered yet. Colonization. It's just not possible for me to deal with right now. And I haven't talked more about religion. Yeah, that's what I forgot. Yeah, so religious minorities exist in provinces. When you actually convert a province, you only convert about 10 to 30% of its population. Basically create a stronger minority of your own religion, unless it becomes a majority, which turns the original majority into a minority. They produce unrest. However, they do increase missionary strength. They also lower manpower and increase recruitment time. High, yeah, that's what low tolerance does. High tolerance lowers unrest, missionary strength, and raises manpower modifier. You cannot convert minorities directly, you have to do it via decision, and that's only possible when certain things occur. For the peaceful, which is just sending a missionary there, you have to have one stab, at least 25 ducats, you're going to be spending those 25, and then either piety of at least 60, have a theologian or inquisitor advisor, or have the Inquisition at level 2. It starts at 0 and certain things can change it, but it depends. I mean, I know it works for Christian countries, but I'm not sure if any other religion group actually has it. Force heretics convert, which is basically forcing them to leave. Yeah, you can't be a subject. Your stab has to be, and then either stab is less than 1, be bankrupt, war exhaustion at least 10, have an inquisitor, piety at least 60, or less legitimacy than 60. And then church influence has to be at least 70%, have an inquisitor, be force converted by another nation, less religious unity than 60%, and again inquisition, at least 2. You can just straight up choose to persecute other religions, you need less religious unity than 100%. Or one of your subjects has less religious unity than 100%. It gives you a temporary movement of fanaticism, of 20 towards fanaticism. You lose 20 admin power, you gain 3 legitimacy, and you get the policy of intolerance modifier, which gives you plus 1% missionary strength, and then minus 2 tolerance of heretics and heathens. This change only lasts for about 8 years, though. Or so. It seems pretty variable since I'm looking at this on the 1st of October, 1766, and it's giving me the end time of 20th of December, 1374. You can choose to pursue religious tolerance, which is literally admin tower, at least 10, and no conversion. It's a similar effect. You lose 10 admin power, you don't get any legitimacy though. You move 20 towards secularism for the same amount of time, and get this modifier as well, in which you get 1 less stab point per year. Your missionaries have minus 3% strength, and you lose 1 tolerance to true faith, however, you have plus 1 tolerance of heretics and heathens. You can also choose to donate state lands to the church, you lose 5 ducats. You gain 5 church influence, you move 5 towards fanaticism, and you you gain 2 legitimacy and 4 prestige. You probably shouldn't do this too often, though. There's also the policies in which there are first the stab policies here. They get less and less powerful as you go on. There's also centralizing the state and decentralizing the state, which is your main source of centralization. Centralize the state, while decentralizing lets you quickly decentralize if you want to for whatever reason. These three are the integration policies. They need admin tech 10, admin tech 20, and 30. They have the first one does income from vassals plus 10%. Second one has +1 diplo relation, and third one is vassal force contribution plus 10%. The main thing is it makes vassal integration 10% faster. Vassals only integrate if they're regular vanilla vassals, and not special selection types in the mod, like decentralized rebellious vassal, or decentralized feudal subject, etc. The daimyos themselves are, for example, autonomous vassals. Over here, the tributaries of Madrapahet are rebellious decentralized vassals. Bengal over here is a direct vassal of Bengal. Kangli Ipak is a direct vassal of Bengal. Yeah. In order, you have to subjugate those subjects, which is chancing, and costs a lot, 100 of each category, I think. Once you do, you also have to integrate them, which is a slow process, but it gets faster the more you centralize, and, well, yeah. Better relations also help, as well as being, just in general, better put together. Having better technology and institutions, etc. It's better if they're also more stable, etc. You also need to wait the vanilla 10-year limit. I'm not sure how personal unions work, though, so I haven't bothered with that yet. There, that is vassal integration. The interregnum chaos is a potential disaster. He is. For example, you can see here free trade and mercantilism. Both of which give you even more merchants to work with, so have fun with that. Actually quite similar. Additionally, you can also choose to interact with the provinces via the building screen, although it's a bit outdated now that everyone can develop. Oh yeah, and corruption. Corruption has actually different effects. Since money is king now and you can't actually develop, it's actually okay to have a high level of corruption as long as it isn't too high. 25 is probably fine. I think I actually did everything now. I did that. Oh, I forgot I had infrastructure. I can't believe I did that. Yeah, so as you build stuff, it counts up the total amount of ducats imported in infrastructure. For example, this province has 729. And then gives a value based on a exponential function. So it grows rapidly, the cost increase. Here it is the 4,452. It more than triples the cost. The reason why it's even higher over here is because of, well, inflation and the dev level. Which is something I haven't actually mentioned yet. Oh. And I forgot court level 2. Development level is basically your ratio between total development in number of provinces. Here it is. High dev level does mean higher construction costs, however, you get more of a lot of other things. Global trade power, morale, land force limit, discipline, fort defense, and siege ability. There's also the court, which costs money. Having a good court value gives you better stability, more diplomats, more morale, more prestige, more possible advisors, better diplo rep, better improved relations, more diplomatic relations, reduced liberty desire in subjects, more art power in your capital, and not so strong bonus to, well, half that bonus to regional capitals, and +1 to your alliance limit. Before a certain tech level 48, Diplotech level 48, number of alliances is limited by international importance, basically your influence, court size, and Diplotech. Level 19 and 31 give +1 each. Every 2 levels above level 2 give another 1, and so the first 2 levels of importance get... Wait. No, significant is 1200 dev. Someone might have that in. Yeah. So, the first 2, insignificant and minor, get 1. Average and major, the second 2, the next 2 get 2. The second highest gets 3, and the highest gets 4. Has anyone been able to hit that level yet? No, the highest is 1050 dev. Their own dev is 424. Yuan just has a lot of subjects. Military commissions. Basically the ones that are fighting over China right now. Or at least some of them. It looks like they might unify China. I think that's almost everything to M&T. Just some notes, you might as well not turn on Mandate of Heaven. The Empire of China isn't functional at all. That's the first thing. The second thing is, there is no actual age system. Splendor doesn't exist. Third thing is, tributaries don't exist. Fourth thing is, it actually slows the game. The only reason why you would ever actually turn on Mandate of Heaven is if you look here, there's no Diplo macro, which can be quite useful, and some people actually see it as very important. Yeah, I think that's everything I can say. Today was really more of a tutorial episode to flesh out the second half of what I said yesterday. I wonder if I should merge these together. Oh, I should edit this. Oh well. Next time, I will actually get into playing the game. I will re-explain stuff as I travel across it, though. Eventually, I will explain colonization. Okay, so just save the game. Oh, there is one other thing I do want to say. Don't play in Mesoamerica. Okay, there's 2 other things. Don't play in the Americas. The dev system used to be directly connected with the population. In fact, the descriptors still actually say that its 10,000 rural population provides the following. Thing is, it's no longer coupled together, it just shows the value of the province. Population is its own thing. However, the reformation mechanics from, what was it called? The expansion that does the 7 cities of gold. Shoot, I forgot. Anyway, the expansion that includes the Okay, El Dorado. The El Dorado expansion includes the Faith Reformation mechanics for the um, Mesoamericans and the Incans. It's broken. The system was built when development was directly linked with population. Now that's no longer the case, development in that area is much lower. However, the modifiers for perform still aren't through, so you're going to have to use cheats in order to give yourself authority. Because it's all based upon a similar system, well, it's all based upon the INT system, where dev directly gives you authority, and raising autonomy lowers it, and decreasing autonomy raises it. Although you can't decrease autonomy anymore. Second thing is, there has been an update to MET that looks completely different in the works, so eventually all of this will, okay, not all of this, but most of this will be obsolete. There's also the possibility that I'm not sure. This is currently 2.5 point something, maybe 6, 2.5, 2.6, I think? I would have to look up the version. There may be continuing support for 2.5 as they may update 2.5 to the 2.5 framework to 1.30, so that this basically holds, and they may also add some new things. It's still being updated, although only to a small scale. It's mostly fixing bugs as well as it's mainly first off fixing bugs. Secondly, incorporating submods that the devs think are a good idea. A recent one was these buttons here. These 4 buttons here are these 4 decisions were added in a submod. Another was where they rebalanced the military ideas because almost all of them were absolute garbage except for the naval ideas. And saying that their naval ideas is the only one that was decent, you can kind of tell how bad they are, or they are better now, but I still don't think they're that great, especially since money makes the world go round in this mod. So yeah, MNT 3.0 has been in the works for a long while, and there's no one really knows when it's going to come out. It will come out when it's ready. My own personal prediction on when it would come out was, well, when I first wrote into the mod, was end of last year. Basically December of last year. And as you can see, that's not the case. Currently, my honest expectations is pretty much spring of next year. Although I'm fully aware it could happen at any point. It will be ready when it's ready. So on that final note, time to end the stream. Recording. This is a video. Goodbye and till next time.